Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
True Crime Edition. If you like our show, you can like, subscribe, share. I was sorry, I moved my computer on accident. I was doing a activity with my kids yesterday with a YouTube video, and there are people who make lengthy YouTube activities for kids, and so halfway through they'll stop and be like, all right, subscribe. And one of them that I was like, that's a good idea, is they stopped in the middle of the video and do a would you rather, and it was like, would you rather be eaten by snakes or subscribe to our channel? And I was like, okay, relatable.
True.
So, if
It'd be
you would
real
rather
sad if you'd
subscribe,
rather be eaten by snakes.
yeah, if you would rather not be eaten by snakes, you could subscribe. And if you like jewelry, you can use the code Mary788 on every jewels. That's EVRY jewels, for money off of your jewelry order.
Beautiful.
I did have a real-time true crime for you. I've seen a couple different true crime related things circulating, but this one I've seen a lot. So I'll just go ahead and talk about it. So I thought a girl, but turns out a woman. She's 21 years old. In Lexington, Tennessee, was found to have a body of a baby in her closet that had been rolled up in a towel and then stuffed into a black trash bag. The woman, again, she's 21 years old. Her name is Laken Snelling, and she was arrested and charged with abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and concealing the birth of an infant. They did find that she was the mother of that infant. She was a student. Pause. She was a student at the University of Kentucky. So this happened in Lexington, Kentucky. She is no longer a student there. She was a senior. She has been
Arrested.
expelled.
Oh.
For having a deceased baby in her closet. And they are currently investigating the autopsy and all of those things. But yeah, not looking good for her. It reminded me of one of the first cases you did. And at the time, we were like, okay, girl, come on now. We could do better. But I also have to beg the question. We're in a different political climate. How many options does this girl truly have? Do we need to take that into consideration? Not saying.
Do we know, is the theory that she did have a stillbirth? Or, is the theory she killed her baby?
I think the theory is she killed her baby.
Okay.
They said that right now it says that the cause of death is listed as inconclusive. So I don't know, but yeah. Also,
I know I do want to know statistically how, because I feel like we've heard this, they've had it in hospitals or whatever. How often is this happening now and compared to other times?
Right. And we're not gonna say what is different between now and those times, but we'll let you figure that out. also would love to hop in and plug, if you have not listened to or not watched Unknown Caller on Netflix.
Unknown Number
on Netflix. Oh my God. You have to watch it. If you don't have Netflix, you have to subscribe to Netflix simply to watch this. It's bananas. We did learn that there is a Lifetime movie starring Lisa Rinna. I watched it. You shouldn't. I paid $3 to watch that movie, and it was truly the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It was so very loosely based. It was like a whole different story, Lisa Rinna was a single mom. She was a music teacher at the school. Her daughter was a senior in high school going off to college. And, like, it's just a whole different ballpark. And not good. So, that's all for that.
Cool.
Yes. All right. So, kind of a short case for you today. I'm hoping that we'll get some good discussion in because it is unsolved and there are very little theories. So I'm hoping that we can kind of spitball. So I wanted to start with just a dive into my brain. Okay. So I've been trying to find cases that relate to current events because I am nothing if not a microtrend girly.
She's trying to like mood right.
Yes. Someone who is in the know, And also, I think it makes it easier for me to focus on researching something if I'm like already kind of interested in something else related to that topic.
Sure.
I say as I come to read to you a case that I mostly wrote this morning. So this is my attempt at loosely connecting a case from my true crime list to Taylor Swift's engagement.
Kind of crazy it was even on your list.
Yeah, I know. So, here we go.
Let's roll.
And I mean very loosely. Okay, bear with me.
It was obvious to me as soon as I saw the first line.
Okay. I'm curious to know what that means, but okay.
Okay.
On Wednesday, October 28th, 1981, in Newburgh Heights, Ohio, 3 young boys were heading out on an adventure near a rocky ravine. But when they got there, they soon realized there would be no playing happening because they found the body of a teenage boy wearing a bright yellow t-shirt lying face up in the ravine in a cross-bearing pose. Like his arms out.
Got it. You've already said the thing that's obvious to me.
Okay, please tell me what you're talking about.
Travis and Jason Kelsey are from Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and their show is called New Heights.
That was not actually the thought.
Oh, wow. Because as soon as I read the line, I was like, how did she happen to have a story in her list from Newburgh Heights, Ohio?
So
just
now it's
waiting
even crazier.
Perfectly for Taylor Swift to get engaged to a New Heights boy.
So now it's even crazier because that's not the connection.
Wow.
And so what a coincidence. Okay. It'll take us a while to get there.
Okay.
So he had some scratches and bruises, but other than that, there was no clear sign of injury or cause of death. They had no idea what happened. One of his shoes was found, his left shoe, was found nearby in a pile of rocks. It's like kind of like wedged in to the top of the pile of rocks, but his right shoe was never found.
Oh.
So once
I thought you were just gonna say it was on his foot.
Nope, no shoes. Once police were able to get to the scene, it took them a few hours, but they did officially identify the body as that of oh my God, I can't read. They did officially identify the body as that of 17-year-old Kurt Sova. Kurt was a high school junior who lived just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. He was the youngest of 4 boys and was extremely close to his parents. Police learned that Coates... Oh my God. Coat?
She's fired, folks.
I've actually been doing this all week. Just can't read a thing. Like, my kids have started saying, oh, Miss Packard can't read. It's actually embarrassing. Police learned that Kurt's parents had actually reported him missing 5 days prior to the discovery of his body. However, when the autopsy was conducted, they didn't report him missing exactly 5 days prior, but when they reported him missing, it had been like a day, and this is 4 days after that. So he had been missing for 5 days.
By the time he was found.
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
However, when the autopsy was conducted, it suggested that Kurt had died no more than a day and a half prior to being found in the ravine.
Oh.
He had left his family home that previous Friday after skipping school to go to a Halloween party about 1 block away from his house. He had met up with a friend for the party, but then he never returned home. Kurt's mother, Dorothy Sova, said it was not like him to be gone overnight. It was not like him to stay out after 10, 10:30, 11 at the latest, and that was only when we knew where he was. This night, he just never came home. He never had any trouble with the neighbors. I never had any trouble with him in school. I never had any trouble with him with the police. That's why I can't understand what happened. On Saturday morning, when Kurt hadn't returned home from the party, his mom began calling around his friends, and his dad went out looking for him in the neighborhood. He looked in ravines, in schoolyards, and in dumpsters. No one knew where Kurt was or had seen any signs of him. On Sunday, the Sovas called the police and reported their son missing. And then Dorothy Sova, his mother, covered their neighborhood with missing person flyers. That afternoon is when the Sovas first learned their son had skipped school on Friday and then attended a party. Which, like, again, they're like, he's such a good kid. Like, why would we think he was doing that? So Dorothy went to the duplex where the party had been hosted, but the girl who had thrown the party, Susan, was not home. Another girl answered the door, and she was like, Susan's not here. I'm a babysitter. And she was like, okay, I'll wait. So Dorothy waited for Susan. Yeah. And then when Susan arrived, she told Dorothy that she did not know her son and had not thrown a party.
Okay.
But I don't know what you're talking about. However, a pizza delivery man contradicted that statement. He claimed that there had been a party on Susan's side of the duplex because he had delivered a pizza there. Dorothy confronted Susan, and this time she admitted she had thrown a party and that Kurt had attended it that Friday night. She said that more than a dozen people had attended the party and that Kurt was one of the youngest partygoers.
Okay.
But she said, so when I read that, I thought she was going to be like, so like I didn't really notice him. There were so many people. He's like a kid. But no. She just lied. She just straight up lied because she said that she did notice Kurt because he had been drinking heavily and specifically had been drinking large amounts of 190 proof Everclear.
Okay.
So he stands out, Susan.
Yeah. Hard to miss.
Yeah. Dorothy found this odd because Kurt wasn't really known to drink. Jumping as a 17-year-old, jumping from not being known to drink to just downing Everclear is crazy.
But also, like, not being known to drink to his mom, who also didn't know he was skipping school and going to a party. So, like, could be less of a jump.
Well, it was like his mom and his friends also said like he did.
Oh, okay.
But like, yeah. So we had a friend in college who drank Everclear all the time, and like, here's what I have to say about people who drink Everclear. First of all, Everclear is banned in several states. So, people who are drinking Everclear at social gatherings are 100% doing it so that you will say something to them about how crazy it is that they're drinking Everclear because it's banned in several states.
Or they have like a death wish.
Yeah, they want you to notice them.
Yeah.
And to say something to them.
And it's like, clearly he wasn't like drinking Everclear in secret. Like we just found Everclear in his bloodstream. She knows. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, he stood out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm going to say. This, like, that he's drinking Everclear. He's 17 years old. He's not really known to drink. Also, Kurt was fairly small. So his family was really worried that he would not have been able to tolerate that level of alcohol.
Yeah.
The friend that had been with Kurt at the party, named Sam, claimed that toward the end of the night, Kurt had begun to stumble through the duplex. He was knocking things over. At around 9:30, Kurt got sick, and Sam took him outside for some fresh air. He set Kurt down at the fence, is what I wrote. Now, every single source material I read on this said he left Kurt hanging on the fence.
And this is who?
The friend, Sam.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. Left him hanging on the fence is...
I feel like they have to just mean, like, left him hanging.
Right.
Over...
But on...
Yeah.
Like...
Case solved.
Right. I don't understand what was happening there. So I just put he set him down at the fence because I can't wrap my brain around what the hell that means.
Like, even if it's like a wooden fence,
I'm like picturing,
would you just drape him over?
But like the other thing is, so like the things that we have to consider with that language that are about to come up are Kurt was wearing a jacket.
He wasn't.
Yeah, Kurt did not stay on the fence. Kurt was then missing for 5 days. Mm-hmm. So left him hanging on the fence by what? His t-shirt?
Yeah. And or just literally like I'm like, picturing him just
over the fence.
Yeah. And then he wakes up and just jumps down.
It's crazy. I don't know what that means. So I just used my context clues and I said, surely that's not what any of them meant. Like they're wrong.
Yeah.
So he set Kurt down at the fence. And then he ran back inside to get Kurt's jacket. So it was a Halloween party in Ohio. It was pretty chilly in the 80s. Mm. They hadn't encountered global warming quite yet. So it's chilly. Mm. And Kurt had left his jacket upstairs. So Sam ran back in, got Kurt's jacket, came back outside. Kurt's gone. Someone unhooked him from the fence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Suddenly he's very mobile.
Right. All of a sudden, he's got his wits about him. Sam just assumed Kurt had walked home. I think let's track back to suddenly he has his wits about him.
Yeah.
He walked home.
Yeah. Okay. You didn't want to like at least follow the trail to his home.
Right. How long did it take you to get that jacket?
He got hooked on another fence on his way.
Hanging on the fence is crazy. How tall is this fence? Like, we're talking about like my fence, you know? I don't know. 5 days later, Kurt's body had been found in a ravine just 500 yards from the duplex. The Newburgh Heights police now believed that something must have happened to Kurt at the party or between the party and home, and then someone dumped his body in the ravine, knowing it would be quickly found because it was a high traffic area. Specifically, a lot of kids played there.
Awesome.
That's how he was found.
So nice of those.
I know.
Body dumpers.
Police searched the area surrounding the ravine for any clues as to what could have happened, and then they sent Kurt's body to the coroner's office for an autopsy. The coroner was able to determine that Kurt had died approximately 24 to 36 hours before his body was found, which meant that he had been alive for about 3 days between leaving the party and being found in the ravine.
Crazy.
There was no, so a lot of people theorize, like, okay, like I saw a lot of people saying, like, Occam's razor, dude is downing 190 proof Everclear, he probably got alcohol poisoning, he probably died. But 3 days? And by the time Kurt was found and the autopsy was done, his blood alcohol level was 0.11, which is, like, not nearly enough to kill him at that point. So, like, what happened in those 3 days? Yeah. And then how did he get into the ravine?
Yeah.
And get posed?
But it's also, like, even further proof that he didn't die immediately.
Right.
Or else, like, it would still be high. Also, though, my question is, like, wouldn't it be just 0? If it's been 3 days?
Right.
Why is there any alcohol in his system?
Mm-hmm. There was no sign.
Isn't that, like, a common... I don't know. It's just, like, giving smiley face killers already. And it's, like, isn't that, like, part of the, like, Todd Geib and, like, other ones we did where they had, like, slight alcohol in their system, but people thought they'd been kept alive for days, and it was like, are they being kept alive and made to drink more? You know? I don't know.
I think that's a fine theory.
You told me to throw them out.
Yeah, I think I'm being serious. I think that's a fine theory. I think that some of the people we will look into, not that they had reason to, like, keep him drunk, but, like,
well,
I could always venture to guess that they may have.
I just have always thought the smiley face killers tend to take these guys from parties or from, like, nights out partying, and
so, like, in the early 80s even?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them, that Minneapolis one I thought was, I don't know, I thought, like, in the 90s. But let's see, 90s to 2010s.
So I mean, Kurt is their first victim.
But I don't know. I feel like we've seen this. They take them from, honestly, these, like, field parties, or in Minneapolis, it was straight from downtown from this bar. And I've always thought, like, are they keeping them drunk so that when their blood alcohol is tested, people still think, like, oh, it was just from a night partying? Yeah. Like, is that part of, like, hiding it, is keeping them drunk so that people just think, like, alcohol is a killer? But so it just sounds similar to that, like, if someone took him from this party but was like, whenever his body is found, he needs to have some alcohol in his system. I don't know. Yeah. But I don't. Who's that smart?
I feel like we're starting with, like, big overarching true crime theories.
Sure.
The way people do, like, Israel Keys. Yeah. But there are, like, some things that in this case that I'm like, how are we looking at anything else?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I was gonna say, when you said there are very little theories, I'm like, well, doesn't that make it more obvious what happened?
Yeah, if the police were smart.
Put it on a t-shirt.
We were eating lunch yesterday, and one of my friends was telling me about this book, and she was saying, like, she said, like, it's about, like, this, like, society of women, and they all, like, they think that, like, men are unnecessary, and she kept saying it like that's not true, and I was like, okay. And then she was like, and then they, like, meet,
she's like, crazy, like, fiction.
She's like, they start, like, meeting men that are, I said, is this a not all men book? And she was like, it does kind of become a not all men book. And she's like, but they meet some men, and she was like, and they meet, like, these guys, and they're police officers, and me and this one girl looked at each other, we were like, wow. And she said, stop laughing. I was like, I can't. But I said, well, because she said, like, then they have kids, and if they're boys, I said, how are they having kids? And she said, they kidnapped the men. I said, why didn't you lead with that?
Yeah, this sounds
now
incredible.
I'm into it. Anyway, so there was no sign of trauma to Kurt's body. And if he had been as drunk as they speculate leaving the party, he clearly wasn't that drunk by the time he had died.
Sure. I mean, he could have, like, died of just, like, being stuck outside. Right. But then it's not alcohol poisoning anymore.
Right, and why is he posed?
True.
And then they also said, like, he doesn't have any underlying health conditions. So basically they said that they used, like, process of elimination to decide his cause of death. And they listed it as instantaneous psychological death. And his manner of death was ruled accidental.
Instantaneous psychological death.
No, sorry, physiological.
Oh, I was like, he just made it up. He imagined his physiological death.
I don't know what physiological means, but
weird. Okay.
Yeah. Kurt's loved ones, though,
instantaneous is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Kurt's loved ones believe there was more to the story. They were like, okay, sure.
He was in the same general vicinity for 3 days, but it was instantaneous.
Right. A friend of Kurt's named David Trusnick claimed that he had seen Kurt just 3 days after he had been reported missing. He said he had seen Kurt walking along a busy street with another young man less than a mile from the Sova house. He pulled over and offered Kurt a ride, but said a van pulled up behind them and the driver yelled out, Franco. And then Kurt and the other young man got into the van and drove off. And at the time, David was unaware of Kurt's status as a missing person. Otherwise, he said he would have, like, stopped Kurt from getting into the van or followed the van. Right. But he's like, he was really close to his house, and he just jumped right in the van.
So he seemed to know these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same day of that sighting of Kurt, a record store manager detailed a strange encounter. The record store was in the Sova's neighborhood. And so this record store manager had allowed Dorothy to hang a missing persons poster in the store's window. And a man saw the poster. Kidnap him. A man saw the poster and told the manager that she may as well take the poster down because the boy on it would be found dead in 2 days and no one will know how he died.
Excuse me?
Okay.
He said that to Dorothy?
No, to the store manager.
Oh, I was like, Dorothy, clock him.
Other reports of running into this strange man. And I think that the reason that I think they were able to prove that this is all the same man, but also, like, nobody knows him. And, like, it's all happening in the neighborhood and everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy? So apparently, the man had bragged about having access to bodies being flown into the Cleveland Hopkins International Airport and was telling people that he liked to remove shoes from the bodies. The following morning...
Wait, Kurt is such a cutie.
I know. The following morning, when the manager arrived to open the store, she found flowers and a note which read, "Roses are red, the sky is blue. They found him dead, and they'll find you too."
Find who?
The store manager.
What?
This is also the day before they found him dead, so not yet, friend. Police were able to locate the man that day and question him, but they determined that he was mentally unstable. What they said was, that is a crazy man. And
that rules him out from murder?
Right. I said, aren't most murderers on some level mentally unstable?
Yeah, a little bit.
And they couldn't prove he had committed any crimes yet. because Kurt hadn't been found dead,
Yeah.
They also learned that this man was from Detroit and likely didn't have a link to the area. And police firmly believed that if someone had harmed Kurt, it would have been someone familiar with the area. So they were like, well, he's from Detroit, so it's not him.
Couldn't be an outsider.
But then the following day, Kurt was found dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know what happened. And suddenly, they could not find that man. And they have never seen him again.
Wow. In the case right here, folks.
Right. Earlier the morning that Kurt's body was found at around 3:30 a.m., Dorothy received a phone call from Susan saying that someone had been sleeping in her basement after the party, and she wondered if it could have been Kurt. And I was like, what does that mean? Like,
y'all are just saying things that don't make no sense.
I speculate that what she meant was that she realized someone had been sleeping in her basement. She has
found evidence that someone was sleeping down there. Yeah.
But not seen them.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I assume.
True. Right. But okay. At this point, though, Dorothy was over Susan's bullshit. Dorothy hates Susan.
Okay.
Which, of course. So Kurt's father, Ken, went to the duplex, and he went down to Susan's basement. He was hoping that Kurt would be down there, and he thought it was possible that, like, Kurt had been sick or hurt. And so he was like, if I go down there, then I can help him. But when he got there, there was no one in the basement. There was only a cot.
Wait, so when Susan called and said someone is sleeping in my basement.
Right. So my first thought was, okay, she's saying like someone's been sleeping in my basement, right? Mm-hmm. I found evidence that someone has been sleeping in my basement, a person. But then why does Ken think that he'll be down there? And so then I'm thinking, like, did she say there's a kid in my basement? It might be Kurt.
Did she not know him enough to know, if it is him or not?
Yes, because, like, let's keep in mind, she said he's, like, the youngest person there. He's 17. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know.
How many 17-year-olds drinking Everclear did you see that night?
Right. That are that cutie woody.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Ken was hopeful, though, Maybe it's just that Ken's hopeful.
I just don't understand. Like, someone had to have walked him down to that basement. How dare he
be hopeful?
But, like, someone had to have walked him down to that basement and said, like, hey, they're not here anymore, by the way. Like, right. It'd be one thing if Ken was like, okay, I'm looking for evidence of my son. Okay, I didn't find any evidence of my son. But, like,
unless it was
hope to find him physically there.
Right, unless it was like Susan saw the cot and was just like, absolutely not. Nope, I'm good. There might be a person down there. I don't want to go any farther.
Sure.
And then Ken is like, well, I'll go look because it might be my son.
Sure,
I don't know. So there was a cot. It clearly had been slept in, but there was no sign of Kurt or anything linking back to him.
Mm.
And then, of course, that same day, Kurt was found in the ravine. So all of this led Ken to believe that Kurt had been the one sleeping on that cot. He theorized that Kurt had already been dead as he lay in the cot, and that the others at the duplex had panicked and dumped his body in the ravine.
But not Susan.
No, Susan too.
They are suspicious of Susan?
Yes. But why was lying Susan to their asses? I don't know. They're also like annoyed with Susan though, because when they first asked her, she was like, I don't even know what a party is.
Yeah.
I don't know what is a
party or
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And then she folded real quick. Let's keep in mind, Ken had previously searched in and around that ravine.
Mm-hmm.
When they first reported Kurt missing, and he definitely hadn't been there. And he points out, like, Kurt is found wearing like a neon yellow t-shirt. I would not have missed him if he had been there. Dorothy had similar theories. She believed that someone was either with Kurt when he died or came upon him after his death and then moved his body because they were afraid of being caught with it. And they wondered if Susan could have been involved due to her consistent lying.
Yeah, but it's like, do you think that she thought that by, like, I don't know. I guess I just want to know, like, what's the strategy there? Like, you have them come look and see that he's sleeping there, and then you're just like, see, guess he was crashing without my consent in my basement, and now, oh no, he's gone. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
See, your son's actually kind of weird.
Yeah.
So he's been hiding here for days, so there's no telling where he is now.
Sure.
3 months after Kurt's death, on February 1st, 1982, the body of another teenage boy was found in a ravine on Harvard Street, which is the same street that Susan's duplex was on, and the same street that Kurt's ravine was on. The body was that of Eugene Cavett, a boy that Kurt had actually known when he was alive. Eugene was found just 2.5 miles from where Kurt had been found. And like Kurt, Eugene had been missing for a few days before he died. And his right shoe was never found.
No!
Uh-huh. Although Eugene was only 13 years old at the time of his death, he and Kurt had lived only 1 block apart from one another. Eugene's autopsy showed that he had died from the fall into the ravine, but there is debate over whether he fell, he was pushed, or he was thrown into the ravine. Also worth mentioning, in my opinion, is that Kurt's middle name is Eugene. Crazy. Eventually, these ravines were filled in because radioactive waste was being illegally dumped into them. Cool. And kids like to play in them. I said, well, we can't let them keep doing that.
Well, so the kids are either playing with dead bodies or radioactive waste.
Right. I think in general,
probably they should get out of those ravines.
Right. No harm in closing that up.
Yeah.
A witness came forward to police and claimed that she had seen 2 young men dragging an unconscious teenage boy. We're not talking about Eugene anymore, to be clear.
Oh, back to
that's all I got on Eugene. I just think that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a serial killer if I've ever seen one. So probably Kurt, yes. Dragging an
I just didn't know if it was a third one.
No. Dragging an unconscious teenage boy down an alley toward the ravine. And that he was barefoot on 1 foot.
Okay.
At the time, she thought these are some drunk teenagers dealing with their incredibly drunk friend.
Sure.
But then when she heard that Kurt had been found dead in that ravine, she wondered if what she saw could have been relevant. So she was like, oh my God. Her husband said, bitch, mind your own business. So for a year, she kept it inside her brain.
The vault.
Mm-hmm. But one day, she ran into Kurt Sova, and she had to tell him what she had seen. He called he's probably like, the fuck?
Can y'all stop telling me your theories way too late? Yeah.
He called the Newburgh Heights police, but they never interviewed this woman. And this was kind of the catalyst for the Sovas believing that the Newburgh Heights Police Department were really dropping the ball on the investigation into Kurt's death. So, over the next several years, multiple officers from the Newburgh Heights Police Department were arrested on various charges, including falsifying credentials.
Awesome.
And drug trafficking.
Awesome.
The lead on the investigation on Kurt's investigation, was later discovered to have been assaulting handcuffed prisoners while abusing drugs on the job.
Okay.
He allegedly took one of those prisoners to a warehouse near where Kurt's body was found and tried to fight him there.
Okay.
Fight club.
Yeah, is that what's happening here?
Right.
They're collecting young boys for a fight club?
In 1991, that lead, he was a lieutenant, was convicted and sentenced to 6 to 15 years in prison. And after this, the Cleveland PD, the county sheriff's and prosecutor's office, and the FBI began looking into Kurt's case themselves. They said, no more of y'all. Thank you. They agreed that the Newburgh Heights PD had conducted a faulty investigation and found several missteps on their part. They had taken no photos of Kurt's body at the scene. They had never searched the duplex where Kurt may have been sleeping in the days leading up to his body being found. Right. They had taken no written statements from anyone who attended the party. They rejected any type of assistance offered by Cleveland PD, and they refused to interview any of the people who had come to the Sovas with potential leads.
Is the idea just that they're like so sure he was just drunk for 3 days?
Dorothy Sova always felt like the police department had noted her as just like a mom who could not accept that her son had died. And this was like their confirmation. Like, they didn't care about us, you know? So Kurt's parents in the late 80s called Unsolved Mysteries. And on November 23rd, 1988, an episode aired on Kurt's brief disappearance and mysterious death. The Sovas felt certain that someone out there knew exactly what had happened to their son, and they hoped that they could convince that person to come clean. Dorothy Sova specifically said that she never understood how a healthy young man could have ended up dead in a ravine, and she vowed to continue searching for the truth until the day she herself was buried. That's what she said. She said, I will continue searching until I am buried. Okay, Queen.
The way that healthy people end up in ravines is murder.
Right.
Sorry.
Police.
I can tell you.
In 2019, the Newburgh Heights Police Department's cold case unit partnered with Tiffin University students to re-examine Kurt's case. So a criminal justice professor and 12 students analyzed the evidence from the cold case files. This is 38 years after his death. So Kurt's parents had passed away by this point. Ken Sova passed away on July 12, 2001 at the age of 68, and Dorothy Sova passed away on December 7th, 2014 at the age of 76. So remember, Kurt is the youngest of 4 boys. His brothers, Keith and Kenneth, had also passed away. Oh, man. Or I don't know if they had passed away by 2019, but they have passed away now.
Okay.
So,
there's one?
Yes. So Kurt's brother Kevin is still working on finding out what happened to Kurt. Okay. But in 2019, Police Chief John Majoy believed that they could begin investigating the case as a suspicious death instead of an accident. And that same year, it was announced that the February 2020 Chicago Crime Con would hold what's called a crowd solve event looking into Kurt's case. So in this type of event, experts would speak to attendees about the case and then present them with the evidence compiled by Tiffin University, and the attendees would help examine the case and offer their own theories on what may have happened. Mm-hmm. So between 100 and 300 participants came together at the event and presented ideas to law enforcement and criminal forensic experts. And they have since offered a $5,000 reward for any additional information that could help solve Kurt's case. But among the crowd solve attendees were Selena Gomez, and her mother, Mandy Teefee. They worked alongside retired U.S. Marshal. Ding. They worked alongside retired U.S. Marshal Art Roderick and other handpicked experts to sort through the complexities, false starts, red herrings, and roadblocks that law enforcement had been dealing with over the past 40 years of their investigation. And Kevin made like a statement on this type of investigation, Kevin Sova. He said, 38 years later, I got a call out of the blue. Mr. Sova, this is Chief Majoy with the Newburgh Heights Police Department. I thought he was contacting me about something my brother Kenny had done because he was always in and out of trouble. But he wanted to talk about Kurt. We had a short conversation. I wanted to get off the phone. I wasn't ready to deal with it, and my wife convinced me to give him a chance. I told him later that I would come in and talk to him, and he told me about CrowdSolve. He had done his homework and was confident it could help. I left his office very optimistic. It brought up feelings about Kurt that I had stuffed away for years. It showed me that they were serious about trying to help his case. When my brother Kenny died, he was dead inside our family home for 10 days. I wanted to set the whole house on fire. There was nothing in the house I wanted anything to do with. Kenny had sold everything he could get his hands on, but among the mess in Mom's old closet, I found boxes and boxes of documents, news clippings, and notes that Mom had kept on Kurt's case. I took those and left the rest of it to the dope dealers and copper salvagers. 2.5 years later, when I went to meet with Chief Majoy, I took some of the boxes with me. His eyes lit up like he had just hit the lottery. I told him to take it all. I felt like I was getting energy from my mom above and that all she had done had finally paid off. I wish right now that my mom was sitting here instead of me. She's the one who deserves to be treated the way CrowdSolve and Chief Majoy are treating me. She never let go. Eventually, everyone gave up on her. Kurt died in Newburgh. We lived in Cleveland. There were always conflicts between the two jurisdictions. Nobody wanted to talk about it. I told her so many times, Mom, give it up. Nobody cares about this anymore. Nobody cares about Kurt. Now I know that hundreds of people, complete strangers, have it in their heart to do something. It's a way to do these things in the future. These people are nothing but optimistic about their ability to help, and you can see it in their eyes that they want to help a total stranger's family. How do you not encourage that?
Cute.
I know. CrimeCon describes its CrowdSolve events as rooted in 3 key factors. They're like words. Immerse, sleuth, solve.
Okay.
It is immersed in victimology, deception, detection, and DNA. They sleuth by digging into case files, and they solve using a case action report. So attendees begin with a crash course from world-class experts. Then they work through witness statements, timelines, means and motives of opportunities of persons of interests. And then finally, each attendee fills out their own case action report with their analysis, ideas, and next steps. And those are then given to law enforcement for their consideration. They advertise the event as equal parts education and experience, and so much more than murder recreations and dramatic courtroom showdowns. The CrimeCon team said that Selena and her mom, along with all of the attendees, were perfect detectives and that their interest and involvement in the case brought peace to the Sova family. Kurt's case is not closed, but it is considered dormant. Police still maintain that it is most likely Kurt's death was an accident, but Kevin Sova carries on his parents' belief that something happened in or around the time of the party and people involved panicked. If you have any additional information about the mysterious death of Kurt Sova, you are encouraged. I'm not the one encouraging you, but by some people to call the Newburgh Heights Police at 216-641-5545. I would maybe bypass them and go call someone else. But what do I know? So, what do you think? Do you think Kurt, the options are, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty, but the options we've discussed today are Kurt was met with foul play, Kurt drank too much and died of alcohol poisoning, Kurt accidentally fell into the ravine, or is this connected to something else, specifically Eugene Cavette's murder?
I think he was met with foul play, and I think it was connected to Eugene.
Okay, I agree. Like, what are the odds?
And I think it's got to be that weird guy.
Yes.
But, like, my thing is, like, was he keeping Kurt in that basement? Or is the basement story just, like, what the heck? Just, like, completely, like, I don't get that's just, like, confusing to me. But, I mean, I'm sure he can come down from Detroit every few months and kill a boy, so.
Yeah. Here's my thing also, is the people who are like, oh, like, it's Occam's razor, he was drunk as hell.
But he was also apparently walking around on the street for days.
Yeah. They're like, he was drunk, that's probably it. Okay, and also Occam's razor, what are the odds of two boys who live a block apart being found 3 months apart,
in the exact same way,
2 miles apart, missing the same shoe
in ravines,
in a ravine, after being missing for several days?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
So.
No, not kidding, not kidding.
Of course. Yeah, I think for sure those are linked.
Yeah.
Yes. Also sending you my mood board contribution for this episode.
Oh, cool. All right.
Bye.